But tonight on this special program, the story that is shaking India's judiciary. Indian judiciary at the highest level is now facing its biggest crisis ever. This morning, 4 senior judges of the Supreme Court, Justice Chelameshwar, Ranjan Gogoi, M.B. Lokur and Kurien Joseph, held a press conference unprecedented. For the first time in India's history, a press conference was held questioning the Chief Justice's role by fellow judges in the administration of justice in the Supreme Court. Here are the main points that the 4 senior-most judges raised. They questioned Chief Justice Dipak Misra's role in the allotment of cases. The judges spoke out on a day when there was a plea before the Supreme Court on Judge Loya's death given to another court. The judges alleged that the administration in the Supreme Court was not in order in the manner in which the benches were being decided on politically sensitive cases. The judges accused the Chief Justice of India of not taking remedial measures. The judges said dramatically, "We haven't sold our souls. Democracy is at stake." Is this then the biggest mutiny that the Supreme Court has seen? That's the question that we will raise today. An open rebellion of sorts against the Chief Justice of India, Dipak Misra, accusing him of impropriety and abuse of power. And at the center of this, the death of Justice Loya, who was hearing the Sohrabuddin Sheikh case, the encounter case, and allegedly died of a heart attack in Nagpur in 2014. Members of his family had raised suspicions over his death while speaking to the news magazine Caravan. Here's tonight's top story.
The administration of the Supreme Court is not in order. We tried to collectively persuade the Chief Justice that certain things are not in order, therefore he should take remedial measures. Unfortunately, our efforts failed.
4 sitting judges of the Supreme Court pushing the panic button, leading the biggest uprising in India's judiciary. Justice Chelameshwar, Justice Kurien, Justice Gogoi and Justice Lokur openly rebelling against the Chief Justice Dipak Misra. Dropping a letter bomb, the judges made scathing allegations against the CJI. And when it went unaddressed, they reached out to the 4th pillar of democracy.
The administration of the Supreme Court is not in order. That unless this institution is preserved and it maintains its equanimity, the democracy will not survive in this country or any country. Therefore, we were left with no choice except to communicate it to the nation, blame that Chelameshwar, Ranjan Gogoi, Madan, Lokur and Kurien Joseph sold their souls.
The judges accused the CJI of impropriety and of misusing his power to allocate cases to select benches. And even though the judges wrote a carefully worded letter, there were specific cases at the center of this historic rebellion.
The schisms are out in the open and it's camps within the top court of the India. The Supreme Court of India is currently witnessing a crisis like it has never seen before, with the top 4 judges of the collegium, other than the Chief Justice of India, openly rebelling against the manner in which the Chief Justice is functioning. And also the undercurrent is that there is indeed an interference from the executive which is hindering the cause of justice in the Supreme Court.
The uprising has divided the judiciary, as some even question the judge's decision to hold a press meet, especially since one of the 4 happened to be next in line to be the Chief Justice.
The President of India now also should intervene and try to resolve this very well.
4 judges of the Supreme Court should hold a press conference and come up with the grievances against the Chief Justice. Now I find this very, very disappointing and very distressing.
The storm even hit the political corridors as Netas warned against a massive judicial crisis.
They have mentioned that there is a threat to democracy. I think it needs to be looked into. About Judge Loya's case, I think that is also something that needs to be investigated properly. It needs to be looked at from the highest levels of the Supreme Court.
This is a matter of governance and therefore the Prime Minister should offer his services.
The government stayed away from the controversy, saying it's a judicial matter, Whereas its top legal officer, K.K. Venugopal, said that the Supreme Court judges will resolve the issue on their own.
By tomorrow, they would all be able to completely neutralize this dissension which has been there, to bring about total harmony and restore the confidence of the people and the litigant public in the dispensation of justice by the Supreme Court.
So are important cases being given to select benches? Is the judiciary running on the whims and fancies of the Chief Justice? And is the government interfering with the judiciary? The CJI has many questions to answer because the rebel judges have sounded a code red alarm. It is democracy that is at stake if the judiciary does not withstand the quake. With Anusha Soni and Supriya Bharadwaj in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, at the heart of this controversy is, at least the trigger for the controversy at the moment, is the controversial circumstances surrounding the death of Judge Loya, who was supervising the Sohrabuddin Sheikh encounter case. Remember, none other than the BJP President Amit Shah was someone under the scanner in that case. And the charge which was being made today was that the case had been handed over to a bench which it was believed was not suited or was too junior to handle such a politically sensitive case. Take a look at this report that triggered off the controversy.
The death of Judge B.H. Loya on 1st December 2014 is back to haunt the judiciary and the political establishment. The immediate trigger for the revolt by the senior-most judges of the Supreme Court was the assignment of important cases to other judges, including that of a petition seeking a probe into Loya's death.
It is an issue of assignment of a case, which is an issue raised in that letter.
This is about Loya's thing.
Is it about Loya?
Yes.
Loya, as a CBI court judge, was hearing the Sohrabuddin Sheikh fake encounter case when he died of a heart attack in Nagpur, where he was attending the wedding of a fellow judge's daughter. It was a high-profile case given that BJP President Amit Shah was named in it, though he wasn't charged. The case hit headlines once again in November last year, when a news magazine, Caravan, raised questions over the death of Judge Loya after interviewing his sister and parents, who claimed many inconsistencies in the police finding of natural death.
एका महिन्यात त्यांना खूप प्रेशर देत होते की नाही लवकरात लवकर या 30 डिसेंबरच्या आत निकाल पाहिजे. आमिषमध्ये त्यांना आमिषच होतं की 100 कोटी रुपये तुम्हाला देतो, तुम्ही ही पॉझिटिव्ह आमच्याकडून हे सांगा. मोहित शाह म्हणजे तो चीफ जस्टिस आहे, तो सांगायचा.
त्याला पैशाची आकर होती. तुम्हाला जागा पाहिजे, मुंबईला किती मोठी जागा पाहिजे आणि त्यांना किती पैसे पाहिजे तुम्ही म्हणाल.
दबाव पण होता, त्यांनी सगळ्यांना सांगितलं होतं की मी खूप टेन्शन मध्ये आहे.
दिवाळी झाल्यानंतर त्याने मला सांगितलं की एक तर राजीनामा देणार.
Later, Loya's son and several Bombay High Court judges spoke out, dismissing allegations of foul play. But it didn't prove enough to clear doubts. Petitions were filed in the Supreme Court and the Bombay High Court, seeking investigation into Loya's death.
This is indeed a historic day, not just for the Indian judiciary as the confrontation is out in the open, but also for the case of Judge Loya. The Supreme Court has sought a response from the Maharashtra government, and with also the top 4 judges saying it in the press conference that Judge Loya's death was one of the cases where a representation was given to the Chief Justice of India. Clearly, Judge Loya's death was a direct point of confrontation between the top 4 judges and also the Chief Justice of India. In the coming days, it needs to be seen how is it ensured that a fair and a speedy trial is given in this entire matter. This is Anusha Soni reporting for India Today.
Okay, let's then raise tonight the big questions that should haunt our democracy today. Are important cases being selectively allotted as the Supreme Court 4 judges claim today? Have the Supreme Court judges done the right thing by making these charges public in the manner that they did? Are the judges hinting at interference in judiciary's working by the executive in politically sensitive cases? Is it proper for judges to question the Chief Justice of India in this matter? Should the government step in to resolve the crisis? I'm joined by special guest Dushyant Dave, senior advocate and the man who really triggered this off in a way by taking on the Chief Justice and putting out the red flag initially. Randeep Singh Surjewala is the Congress spokesperson with us. Tuin Sinha is of the BJP. Another senior former Additional Solicitor General Raju Ramchandran with us, as well as Bishwachit Bhattacharya, also an Additional Solicitor General, and Gopal Jain, Senior Advocate. So lots of voices, but I want to come to you, Dushyant Dave, because you are the individual who's written strongly today in the Indian Express, but you've been raising these issues, claiming that cases are being selectively dealt with by the highest judiciary, particularly politically sensitive cases like Judge Loya, the Kaliku Pool suicide case, the Sahara Papers case. Your response today, do you believe that the judges were right in going public with it? Should this not have been settled within the four walls of the judiciary?
Well, Rajdeep, you must understand one thing, and I think the nation must understand this, that if the four respected senior judges had any other alternative or option, do you think that they would have resorted to this extraordinary step? So for months these judges have been requested Chief Justice Misra to really do something proper in respect of constitution of benches and allocation of matters. Apparently they were not successful. So what can good judges have done? For almost 2 decades, Rajdeep, you must realize that something has been seriously wrong with the Supreme Court. Nobody wants to talk about it. There are very few of us, people like Prashant, me, Kamini Jaiswal, who have been talking about it. Senior lawyers, successful lawyers, you know all of them, we all respect them, would never raise this issue because they benefit out of the system. The judges, by and large, almost all judges are very good judges, extremely decent, honest, hardworking and intellectually giant. But some of the judges have given bad name to judiciary, including the Supreme Court. These good judges somehow had no courage to speak about it for 2 decades. And it's been going on with, absolute impunity. So today, when these judges came out, you have to understand that they were left with no option. You can realize the kind of pain that they must have felt being part of the institution to come out and publicly talk about it against their own Chief Justice. So please don't ever send a message that what these 4 judges did was wrong. No, they did something right, and let us hope that this is the beginning of a new era where good judges will be able to stand up against minuscule minority of difficult judges. I won't call them bad judges, difficult judges, so that judiciary in the long run benefits, interest of justice benefit, citizens get correct justice, and corruption and nepotism in Supreme Court is removed.
You're raising various points, and I'll come back to you in a moment, Mr. Dave, because Raju Ramachandran, what is being said by Dushyant Dave is that this has been building up over years. But what is the immediate trigger? Is the immediate trigger, as 2 of the judges indicated in the press conference, the fact that when the petition came up calling for an independent inquiry into Judge Loya's death, it was handed over to what the judges seem to describe was a junior judge, Justice Misra, and not to one of the senior judges. Now, a similar case happened a few months ago with the medical college admissions case, and I'm just wondering, what was the immediate trigger if this was to reach the level where 4 judges chose to actually go public in the manner that they did?
Apart from the case of Judge Loya, I think the assignment of the medical college case, the exclusion of senior judges from the Aadhaar bench, judges who had been associated with the Aadhaar case from 2013 onwards, which includes Justice Chelameshwar, all these incidents have led to senior judges feeling that benches are being handpicked. Even if the Chief Justice is the master of the roster, that power has to be exercised on a principle, on a discernible principle. Now when you send particular cases to particular benches and to a particular bench or two particular benches, it seems to express lack of confidence in other senior judges of the court doing justice. It's one thing to say all judges of the Supreme Court are equal, but in sensitive matters, in matters involving the judiciary, now for instance in Justice Karnan's case, why is it that 7 of the senior most judges sat? Because it was a matter of grave importance concerning the judiciary, and therefore the right signal was sent that the 7 senior most judges would sit together to decide this case. Now this procedure which has been adopted recently has given rise to misgivings that only particular judges can be trusted to handle a particular case.
Right.
It
No, but
betrays
is
a lack of
the implication
trust in the senior judges?
No, does it betray a lack of trust in the senior judges, or does it betray a lack of trust in the Chief Justice of India? Dushyant Dave, are you directly, and let's be honest, there is the danger of contempt of court here which could be thrown at you or anyone else. Are you directly saying that the Chief Justice of India, Justice Dipak Misra's integrity is under question? Is that what you are saying, Mr. Dave?
Well, Rajdeep, first and foremost, we are talking about Chief Justice's administrative powers. We are not talking about judicial decisions or judicial functioning of the Supreme Court. Let us understand one thing. Chief Justice may be master of the role, but under our constitution, nobody is above the law. The Chief Justice is certainly not above the law. Be howsoever you high, the law is above you is the principle which governs us. Yes, I am frontally saying that Chief Justice is marking these matters, constituting benches to suit the party in power, and perhaps in some cases to damage the opposition and cause of justice. There is no doubt in my mind.
That is a very serious charge.
Examples in my article which appeared today.
That is a very serious charge.
20 more example. For example, Lavalin case yesterday, against Kerala Chief Minister was assigned to Justice Ramna's bench. Why should it have gone there? Why not to senior judges? Again, this case involving Karthi Chidambaram, the Aircel Maxis case, Chief Justice hears it for 18 months and marks it now to Justice Arun Mishra's bench. What does all this show? There is no doubt in my mind that Chief Justice is compromised. Chief Justice is under pressure on administrative side. We are not discussing judgments of Supreme Court. We respect the Supreme Court. We respect the judgments of the Supreme Court. But the way Chief Justice is assigning these matters raises serious suspicions, serious doubts about the integrity of the institution. That is what 4 judges of the Supreme Court have spoken today. So where is the question of contempt? If at all the Chief Justice is at fault, and Chief Justice must correct himself for the sake of judiciary, for the sake of democracy, and for his own sake as soon as possible.
You're given these charges, Randeep Singh Surjewala, it is apparent that this is no longer a matter being fought within the 4 walls of the judiciary. I want to come to my political guest, but you first, Mr. Surjewala. Are we saying therefore that the Congress party is also echoing what now Mr. Dave is saying? Mr. Dave is saying this as a senior lawyer, but when Rahul Gandhi says there's a danger to democracy, Rahul Gandhi is echoing what Justice Chelameshwar is saying, and is he also suggesting, as Mr. Dave is, that the Chief Justice of India, no less, is selectively marking cases when they are politically sensitive to protect the government or to further the government's interests? Because this is a very serious charge that is being made today.
Rajdeep, there are 3 issues which are there before the nation. And we, as the principal opposition party, the Congress President Mr. Rahul Gandhi has rightfully placed those in public domain. Firstly, the 4 senior most judges of the country, judges whose reputation is unimpeachable, judges who have no political bias of any nature, judges who have had long career in law, including as Chief Justices of various high courts to reach where they have reached. have placed three important things. Number one, the integrity of the institution. The credibility of the institution of the Supreme Court is under a cloud. And that's why the independence of the judiciary itself, the last refuge of the common person, is now under a question. And why so? They give three reasons. Their letter says that the orders passed on judicial sides are under a question now. Number two, there are now 3 crore pending cases in the Supreme, in various courts in the country. There is the memorandum of procedure is not being decided by the government. And
how will you respond, Mr. Surjewala?
And thirdly and more important,
Mr. Surjewala, are you firing off the shoulders of the judiciary? The Justice Loya case has been in the public domain now for over a month. It is now that the Congress party is demanding an independent inquiry. Why did you not do it earlier? Did it require these 4 judges to wake you up in a way? And are you firing off their shoulders against the Modi government? Quick answer, because Soli Sorabji is also joining me now.
Nobody needs to fire off no, I don't agree with you. Nobody needs to fire off anybody's shoulder. Are we all interested, including you, Rajdeep, in ensuring that a possible death of a judge in suspicious circumstances should be probed fairly? The matter is taken to Bombay High Court by none less than the Bombay High Court Bar Association. What is the great hurry that a petition is filed in the Supreme Court? It is suddenly marked to a junior judge in the ranking of the seniority. All proceedings before Bombay High Court are stayed. The entire record is summoned with alarming speed for Monday. Why should the senior most judge looking at criminal jurisdiction not examine this case in order to ensure that there is no wrongdoing of the kind alleged by the family, where it has been alleged that a former Chief Justice of the Bombay High Court, at the instance of the BJP president, was in any way involved? I think an impartial inquiry needs to be done.
Can I take that to Soli Sorabji?
What's wrong if the 4 senior most judges raise it? Then it puts the onus all the more on the entire country, including us.
Soli Sorabji, you are hearing the Congress spokesperson saying that the 4 judges in a sense are voicing the wider concern over the manner in which Judge Loya's case has been handled, but also in the manner in which, as Dushyant Dave and Raju Ramachandran are putting it, cases are administratively being given to specific benches. Some are saying, including Dushyant Dave, this is being done at the behest of the government. How do you respond? Do you believe the judges should have gone public, or do you believe they should have settled this within the 4 walls of the court? Mr. Sorabji, if you can hear me? Mr. Sorabji, if you can hear me, should this have been settled within the 4 walls of the court? I'll try and go back to Mr. Sorabji in a moment. Bishwajit Bhattacharya, you're also a former Additional Solicitor General. Should it be settled within the 4 walls of the court, as is being suggested, or were the judges right to go make this public? That the public has the right to know. Democracy is about the public at the end of the day.
That this matter will be resolved within the collegium, because when 4 senior-most judges of the highest court in the largest democracy in the country, and all judges with unimpeachable integrity and ability, they have raised their voice in unison, I think Honorable the Chief Justice of India will rise to the occasion and will surely resolve the matter. And look at the pain with which these 4 honorable outstanding judges have had to do press conference. They said that the posterity should not tell us that we have had to sell our soul. They're very strong words. So therefore, something must have been brewing for a long time, And it is basically the independence of the the clarion call given by these 4 outstanding judges is protect the majesty of law, protect the independence of the judiciary, protect the democracy. If the Supreme Court independence fails, the democracy in India fails.
Understand.
So it's a very serious matter.
We say,
I don't think
Mr. Bhattacharya, no one is doubting the seriousness, but Gopal Jain, has it reached the point where this is now the judiciary is split wide open? I mean, there are 2 options. Either it is settled by the collegium, or the judge or the Chief Justice could decide that these judges have committed an act of indiscipline, impeach them, or the Chief Justice himself opens himself up to inquiry. Which is the most logical option now?
No, Rajdeep, I think these are moments where you require leadership, wisdom and statesmanship from the leader. It's not just the collegium. This is the time to get the full court involved, get inputs from all the judges on what would be a good way of allocation of cases, transparent, scientific classification in terms of subject matter. Idea is the issues which are now in the public domain have to be addressed and a solution has to be found. This solution can be found only within the 4 corners of the judiciary. Maybe former Chief Justices can be consulted who may have dealt with situations like this. The Attorney General inputs can be taken from them, the President of the Bar Association. So these are matters all of them, all of us as stakeholders are aware of. Constructive suggestions can be given. It can be taken to the full court and they'll all have to sit together and then devise a way of going forward. I don't think it's.
But has it gone beyond that? But has it gone beyond that?
To take such an extreme measure.
Has it already gone beyond that? Dushyant Dave, has it already gone beyond that?
It's not gone beyond that.
Dushyant Dave, has it reached the stage? Dushyant Dave, has it reached the stage now where, frankly, you know, there is a complete lack of, there's a huge trust deficit between the judges. What will they sit across the table and discuss? Either you say that the Chief Justice is batting for the government as you seem to be suggesting, and therefore there's an integrity question that goes beyond administration now.
I completely agree, it is beyond repair. And it is not beyond repair because the other judges are not willing to, persuade the Chief Justice. But it is because Chief Justice of India is unable to really, I would say he is helpless. He is helpless because his name figured in the Kalipopul suicide note. His name, at least the case that he handled appears in the FIR filed by CBI as recently as September of 2017. And he, that's why he reacted violently to constitute a bench consisting of himself to kill the petitions filed by Kamini Jaiswal and Prashant Bhushan's NGO. There is something which is really remiss here, which we cannot see. But apparently, the Chief Justice of India is completely under the control of for reasons which are not fathomable. So I don't think there is anything which will happen unless the other judges, the good judges, the Supreme Court has outstanding judges, and I have no doubt each one of those judges is respected judges, each one of the 25 judges. And I would say, and I would appeal to all those 25 judges to get together and force the Chief Justice of India to really reverse this policy, because the constitution of benches, allocation of subject is already predetermined. Then the computer has to work in the Supreme Court to assign the matters. Why is the computer being tweaked? Why are sensitive matters going to Chief Justice? Registry takes them to Chief Justice. I am told, moment a sensitive matter is filed in the registry officials start squirming, and they immediately rush to the senior registry officials, who in turn goes to the Chief Justice and gets orders on administrative side. This is absolutely unacceptable. This is horrible.
This is horrible, this is unacceptable. Soli Sorabji, is this desirable? Is this the way this matter has to be settled? Because as I said, is it reaching the stage where either these judges are in some way subject to disciplinary proceedings, or the Chief Justice is able to represent his position in a manner that public confidence is restored? What would you advise?
Well, I think they should really, in a spirit of judicial statesmanship, meet the Chief Justice sort it out, have a dialogue. Look, one thing I'm very clear about, that even assuming there was some substance in the grievance of the 4 judges, press conferences are not to be given by Supreme Court judges. I'm very clear about that. Because once you give a press conference, then many other things happen. It's laying down a very dangerous precedent, unhealthy precedent. And who knows? There will be allegations, counter allegations. Do we want that? Do we want the public to lose the confidence in the independent functioning of the collegium? That's very important. And I think the inevitable consequence will be that the collegium's impartiality and independence will be questioned in public mind, and that will be a very undesirable thing. And that's what is the effect of the press conference. Supreme Court judges have no business to do press conference.
But Mr. Sorabji, you're saying Supreme Court judges should not do press conferences, but what if they have lost faith in the Chief Justice? What if they have lost faith in the integrity and the neutrality of the Chief Justice? What do they do?
Do they go to the public? Do they challenge the integrity of Chief Justice before the public by giving a press conference? I mean, that's completely unthinkable, absolutely unacceptable. They should sort it out. What do you mean, where can they go? And after all, the Chief Justice is the master of the roster. In any case, there are some differences. Sort it out in a spirit of judicial statesmanship. Do that. You are Supreme Court judges.
No, is it about differences or integrity, sir? There can be differences over administration. Sir, this is now about integrity. This is about integrity. This is not just about mere differences. This is questioning the integrity. The fact is that the claim somewhere is, subtext is, you are hiding cases, politically sensitive cases. That this is a bigger issue than just differences, sir.
But all the more reason you can't challenge the integrity of the Chief Justice, the head of the judiciary, by giving press conferences. Is that the method? Whatever it is, one thing is certain, please no press conferences by Supreme Court judges in these matters. It will open a very dangerous precedent and open the door for many other people to jump in.
Raju Ramchandran, do you agree with what Soli Sorabji is saying? It's a dangerous precedent. Raju Ramachandran, Soli Sorabji is saying this is a dangerous precedent. Yes, go ahead.
I don't agree with Soli at all. Press conferences are not a matter of course. Anyone who saw the press conference today and how clumsy and awkward the judges were shows that they were so inhibited and they had to get over their inhibitions to share their anguish. I don't think this will set a precedent at all. It's easy to say that they should have sorted it out. They have gone public only because they say they tried to sort it out and they couldn't, and they were left with no recourse. Now that they have gone public, this is the time that every Supreme Court judge, and every Supreme Court judge today is on test, all of them need to get together and express themselves clearly and unequivocally on what needs to be done. The problem will now get sorted out only because these 4 senior judges did their painful duty.
No, the question is whether this should be sorted out behind the 4 walls of the Supreme Court or in public. I think that's the point, Soli Sorabji, you're raising. Soli Sorabji, tell me tomorrow, if these judges maintain their stand that they have lost confidence in the Chief Justice.
No, the point which I am making is...
No, but if a few more other judges join this line, then Soli Sorabji, where will this leave the Chief Justice's own credibility? Can you be the chief, the master of the roles as you call it, if your own fellow judges have lost faith? Technically, they are first among equals. Yes, the Chief Justice decides who gets what case, but the fact is they are first among, that he may be first among equals, but they are equals. What if the other judges tomorrow say they've lost confidence?
But that's exactly the point. Can they say it by holding a press conference? You are the judges, you have to accept it. Don't forget, you're a judge of the Supreme Court. There are certain things you have to accept. And please make an effort to do it in a spirit of judicial statesmanship and on this matter. I think it opens a very dangerous door and for other people to jump in, and it will ultimately really affect the public's perception of the independence and the impartiality of the collegium, which should be avoided at all costs.
Before I go back to the politics, Dushyant Dave, what is being suggested by Mr. Sorabji is that this is a mutiny. This is effectively a mutiny, and you cannot have a mutiny in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court cannot be mutinous.
I think Mr. Sorabji is, with greatest respects, absolutely wrong. The judges themselves said today that they made every effort for last few months to persuade the Chief Justice. Apparently, on the administrative side, Chief Justice is a repeated offender and he is incurable. Now, in those circumstances, there was no other option but for these 4 senior judges to let the nation know that what is happening within the 4 walls of the Supreme Court is not a happy position. People must know, and unless and until people know, after all, you must realize one thing, that exposition or exposure is the best antiseptic to this kind of ills. And therefore, there was no other option. Mr. Sorabji doesn't suggest any other option except saying that they must talk. But they did talk. They failed. So what do these 4 senior judges do? Sit there twiddling their thumbs and wait and watch Chief Justice repeatedly massacre cases after cases? I am sorry, Mr. Sorabji is totally wrong. As Attorney General, perhaps Mr. Venugopal could have advised Chief Justice and said, Chief Justice, these matters are being assigned again and again to certain benches. Please correct yourself. Did Mr. Sorabji as Attorney General ever do that? It's all right for Mr. Sorabji to say, oh, press conference is bad. What is the other option? Let Mr. Sorabji suggest.
Okay, let him suggest. Let him say, Mr. Sorabji, what would be the option? What, according to you, as the senior most jurist in the country, would have been a better option for these judges?
Look, I'm not going to suggest what other option would have been. One thing is certain, press conference is not the method. You don't have press conference in which you challenge the integrity of the Chief Justice.
I think he's speaking
and
Chief Justice's language.
Opens a very dangerous door. And I can tell you one thing. Sorry?
Dushyant Dave is saying, why are you only again? He's saying suggest an option. I think what even the country is saying, what is the option, Mr. Sorabji? What is the option? If not a press conference, if I'm a judge who's lost confidence in my Chief Justice in handling politically sensitive cases and is virtually implying that the Chief Justice is allocating these cases only to quash them, what is my option beyond a press conference? What else can I do? What, according to you, can I go to the government? Can I complain to the government? Should I complain to the law minister? But then what happens to the independence of the judiciary, Mr. Sorabji?
Exactly. That's the whole point. That's exactly what I'm saying. But this press conference, you affected the public perception of the independence of the working of the collegium, and that's a very undesirable thing. Look, after all, they are Supreme Court judges. They have to accept it. They are not shareholders in a public limited company, majority, minority. They are Supreme Court judges, and they must make an effort in a spirit of judicial statesmanship to really sort it out. But I don't like this thing that, there's no other option and they must criticize the Chief Justice. I don't approve of that at all.
Okay, some would say, of course, this is the old-fashioned way of looking at times are changing, silence is no longer an option. Prashant Bhushan, who represents the other view, joining me again now. Prashant Bhushan, if you've just joined the debate, Soli Sorabji, very clear, press conference was the wrong method. Raju Ramachandran and Dushyant Dave saying this is the only way forward because the matters have reached a stage where judges had no option. But your view, Prashant Bhushan, is this mutiny now going to reduce public confidence in the judiciary? I am watching it and saying this is some kind of a family, is this the judiciary split wide open? What happens to my confidence in the apex court now? Are you reducing public confidence in the apex court by doing this?
You see, why is public confidence in the judiciary important? Because the judiciary is supposed to do justice. Now, if you find that the judiciary's capacity to do justice, particularly in important matters, sensitive matters, having serious political overtones which have a great bearing on our democracy and our fundamental rights, etc., if such matters are going to be dealt with in a very unjust manner by fixing particular benches to achieve particular outcomes by the Chief Justice who is abusing his power as the master of the roster to do so, then should this abuse or misuse of power be brushed under the carpet only in order to maintain a facade of confidence in this dysfunctional system of justice? Or is it important
so
to
what
fix
are you calling
this
for?
So that there is proper justice, impartial justice, where...
No, are you calling for the Chief Justice of India to step aside?
That's why it was
Are you calling for him to step aside? What are you calling for?
See, the problem brought out in this press conference is only the tip of the iceberg. I am aware of several other more serious acts of misconduct by the Chief Justice. For example, take the medical college case. It was a case where the CBI was investigating corruption in a particular case which was dealt with by the Chief Justice himself. Now, he was told that, look, he has a conflict of interest in this matter, and this petition seeking an independent SIT investigation monitored by the Supreme Court cannot be heard by him. Yet, he proceeds not only to hear it, and thereafter he uses his administrative powers to change the bench from the 5 senior-most judges to whom it had been sent by Justice Chelameshwar.
Are you calling for him to be inquired into? Are you calling for an inquiry into the Chief Justice? Unprecedented.
Yes.
No, you may be aware. What are you calling for? Soli Sorabji is saying,
yes,
how can you have a press conference to voice your grievances?
In this case.
Okay, you are calling for a wider inquiry into his functioning. Are you open to that, Soli Sorabji?
What other option was there for these judges?
Soli Sorabji, do you think there should be an inquiry into the Chief Justice of the country? Do you believe judges, fellow judges can ask for an inquiry into the Chief Justice?
Sorry?
Do you believe fellow judges can ask for an inquiry into the Chief Justice's conduct?
Were asking for an inquiry. I am saying...
I don't think Prashant is wanting an inquiry.
Yes, he's not wanting an inquiry, but he's certainly questioning again the integrity of the Chief Justice, Mr. Sorabji.
Sorry, Rajdeep, I can't hear you.
He's questioning the...
Sorry?
He's clear. Prashant Bhushan is questioning effectively the integrity of the Chief Justice. Let's not pull any punches tonight. He is questioning the integrity of the Chief Justice and is saying that there are several cases where the Chief Justice's conduct has been questionable. In these circumstances, Mr. Sorabji, what do the fellow judges do?
Well, I don't know. But look, I don't understand this. I don't know about this. Which are the several cases, I don't know. One thing I do know is Supreme Court judges cannot give press conferences. They are Supreme Court judges.
Yes.
They are not shareholders in a public limited company. So they can voice their opinions and their differences. We must look at the effect of the public image of the judiciary.
No, I take that, but the problem is the government is silent. Tuhin Sinha, I haven't gone to you at all in the program because the government is silent. What is the government believing that this issue will be sorted out by the judiciary? Is this not in some way undermining the government's image when no less than a judge says there is a danger to democracy, we haven't sold our souls? What is the message going to your government, the BJP government, Mr. Sinha?
Rajdeep, I'm very surprised at the manner in which you've conducted this debate. You allowed one gentleman to make absurd allegations and denigrate the office of the Chief Justice of India 4 to 5 times. I wanted to respond, but you didn't come back once to me. You know, I mean, the government stand is very clear today. We are not a part of what is happening. The way the four judges have behaved.
When Rahul Gandhi has now stepped in, it cannot not be. It must be seen as there is a political edge.
Please allow me 2 minutes now. The way these judges have behaved, they have violated the tenets of integrity, discretion, and statesmanship, which is very unbecoming of the position they hold. In any organization, a person may have grouses, and the grouses may be genuine. They may concern the society, they may concern the country. But was this the manner for them to come out and embarrass not just the judiciary but the entire country? That's the moot point over here. But what is equally mischievous is the way that the Congress has played ball to it. You know, when you say that democracy is in danger, please understand in pure judicial terms, you have to provide evidence for it. Do you have evidence for it?
Yes, but it's not just the Congress party. Mr. Sinha, I agree, it's not the Congress party will have to provide evidence, but there are four senior respected judges. Your own leader, Subramaniam Swamy, today has said these judges their words need to be treated very seriously. These are men of integrity. These are not necessarily men of straw at the moment. And someone has shown, dare I say, some balls after a very long time, some ballsiness. But let me come to Indira Jaising, because Indira Jaising, this is the charge that is now going to be made. The government or the BJP is already saying that advocates are playing politics. This is mutiny. This is not acceptable in our system. Playing politics. This is mutiny. This is not acceptable in our system.
Oh, I see. So what's your question to me?
My question is somewhere are advocates and judges now getting caught in a political web and gunning for the Chief Justice?
Okay. Right, let me answer your question. I had to remind Soli Sorabji on another channel that within living memory, during the emergency, and let me tell you, Rajdeep, I think this is a moment akin to the moment of the emergency in this country. The crisis that the judiciary is going through is exactly parallel to the crisis at that time when judges were superseded. It was people like Mr. Soli Sorabji who came out openly and led the movement, I may say so. Just hear me out. You hear me out, please. They led a movement of lawyers. Now, if a movement of lawyers at that time was not a quote-unquote political movement, I, as a lawyer, as a practicing lawyer, let me tell you, Rajdeep, I'm older to all those four judges. I'm older to the Chief Justice of India, and I've been around longer than they have been around. And I have every right to raise questions about the way in which the judiciary is functioning. It's we the people who have a vested interest in the independence of the judiciary, not the judges. Judges come and go. You know, it is the duty of people like Soli Sorabji, me, and other lawyers to come out and speak in favor of independence of the judiciary. And let me answer your question about executive interference. I asked this direct question to the judges. Please let us know whether there is any interference from the executive. Tell me, Rajdeep, if the trigger was the Loya case, why would it not be in some way related to wanting to bury the whole question, whether there was an unnatural death, whether there was a planned a murder of Loya? We want to know. That's an innuendo. You know, and it is no secret that he was handling the case of Sohrabuddin. So what are we? Why are we beating? Why are we? Well, it's an innuendo by the. I am saying it openly. It is. I'm telling you, it could very well end up in a situation like the mafia bumping off judges. We don't know. I'm not saying this is what has happened, but I am asking, you know, that this issue be decided in an impartial manner. Tell me, Rajdeep, when the matter is pending before the Bombay High Court, why should the Supreme Court mess its hands in this issue? Every time we go to court, we are told, go to the High Court, go to the High Court. And now suddenly, why are we being invited with open arms into the Supreme Court? Please, who's going to answer my question? What are we talking about over here? Why are we beating around the bush?
Soli Sorabji, Indira Jaising is saying this is a moment akin to the emergency. This is the time for all good people to stand up and say enough is enough. Silence is not an option, which is why these four judges went for a press conference. How do you respond to that? She's likening this to the emergency, a moment where the judiciary stood up, or at least a section of lawyers stood up and took on the government of the day then. Do you believe this is akin to the emergency, or is that an exaggeration?
No. those judges were superseded by the executive. That we oppose. We didn't want independent judges to be superseded by the executive. We oppose the action of the executive government, which is very different from the present situation.
Here the insinuation, Mr. Sorabji, is that the judiciary or the Chief Justice is acting at the behest of the executive. I think that's the insinuation that Indira Jaising is making.
I don't think she's making that.
Rajdeep,
is she making that allegation?
Can I ask you a question, please? Can I ask you to please...
Yes.
No. Rajdeep, I would like you to invite the director of the CBI to your program and ask him directly why no appeal was filed against the discharge of Amit Shah. Who took that decision? We want an answer to this question. If that question had been answered, we wouldn't see this day today. After all, this is about the death of a judge. And we need to know how and under what circumstances this judge died. A judge who was handling Sohrabuddin's case.
No, is this about Judge Loya, or is it about a series of cases, whether it's Kaliko pool, whether it's the medical admission scam? The sense I'm getting, this is not just about Judge Loya. This is your belief that the section of the judiciary today is doing the government's bidding. And I think Randeep Singh Surjewala, correct me if I'm wrong, that's what Rahul Gandhi is trying to say when he says there's a danger to democracy. Am I correct? Because Rahul Gandhi has stepped in and, as I said now, seems to be firing off the shoulder of the judges.
Rajdeep, can I make an appeal on your channel, please? I would like politicians to keep out of this whole issue. It is too serious a question.
Oh, that's it. Randeep Singh Surjewala, here is Indira Jaising saying keep out. Keep the politicians out. Let it be sorted out by the lawyers and the judges of this country. Are you ready? Or have you already made it a political issue, Randeep?
Please.
Correct.
Let's not...
No, she's senior. Give her the
Randeep
space
Surjewala.
first. I yield.
You yield to that? You yield and accept it?
As I said, Rajdeep, Ms. Jaising is a very senior counsel. Let's hear her views first.
Okay, so so politicians will not interfere in this issue? You will allow this to be sorted out by the judges?
Yes, Rajdeep.
Yes, Ms. Jaising.
The issue is rather simple. When my country's judiciary's independence is under a cloud, we will raise it as an opposition. On your show, if Ms. Jaising wants to say something, she's senior, let her say.
Okay, Ms. Jaising, you want to make a point in conclusion. Randeep Singh Surjewala is saying she's yielding to you.
The question is... Yes. Yes. I would like to say that this issue is too serious to quote-unquote play politics over. Now, it is true that every issue that concerns law and the judiciary is also a political issue. But please understand the word political in its proper context. Political is what concerns civil society, and every citizen is concerned with quote-unquote political issues. But it's one thing to raise a political issue, it's another thing to play politics over it. I'm sorry I had to do this on another channel, Republic. I don't mind naming it. I was asked, why did I attend the press conference? I think every citizen of the country has a right to attend a press conference, and I did so in my capacity. It is the media that will turn it into a political issue. Please don't. Please continue to treat this as an issue of independence of the judiciary.
Case involving Amit Shah,
tomorrow you,
when we
me,
raise
anybody in this
Kaliko
country
pool,
is
these will be political cases.
To be bummed off.
Okay.
Yes, it did.
We'll leave it there because clearly...
But Rajdeep,
there is a political undertone.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.